Now today's study is page 57. It's a very short list, but it's very important. Now let me just read them to you first, and then I will explain. SD 3.3 brackets 4.4. Now why do we have all these brackets? Now first of all, SD stands for Sutta Discovery. It also means Singapore Dharma. Right? So all the nice good meanings. 3.3, that means volume 3, chapter 3. Right? Now if you see the bracket, that means it is an embedded sutta. Embedded, that means it is a sutta within a sutta. It's a short one in this chapter, section 4.4. And notice the brackets is joined together. There's no space. Now if there's a space, different meaning. If a space, that means section 4.4. Right? So all these they're called conventions, shortcuts. If you use this SD regularly, you will find this a very convenient way. So SD 3.3 brackets 4.4. So you can remember the number or you can remember the name. Okay, the name, title of the sutta, Sotapanna Anisangsasa Sutta. And the next line is the meaning, translation. Sutta means the discourse on, and then brackets Sotapanna, stream winners Anisangsa benefits. The benefits of a stream winner. And then you have the number. This is the unique number for the sutta, just like our IC number or ID number. A 6.97. A means Anguttara Nikaya. Anguttara Nikaya is the fourth collection of the suttas. Okay? Anguttara Nikaya are numbers from collection of teachings from 1, 2, 3 until 11 or more. Dot 97. 97 is sutta number. And then slash 3.441. This is volume and page. About 100 years ago, a group of people based in England. Actually, there's a committee based in England, but the people who helped to put the Pali suttas together, they live in different places in the world. Some live in Tasmania, Australia. Some live in Paris and elsewhere. Okay, so volume 3, page 441. So this in case you want to look up the Pali. Now this Pali, there are also the Burmese version. Now the Burmese, they have romanized it so you can see it like English, the Pali words. There is a Sinhalese version, and there's a Thai version. A Thai version, there are 2 or 3 versions, Right, so all this is to check, to get the best reading, we say. Because we're talking about Pali, handed down from Buddha's time, 2,500 years ago. Imagine you and I are sitting here still studying all these ancient texts. How did they get preserved? This is what the genius of the Buddha, he introduced all these methods, is handed down in an ancient religious or scriptural language called Pali. So you can translate into different languages, but the Pali is always there. Okay, modern language change meaning over time, but the Pali remains the same. Then from there, every generation we translate again. And then if someone asks you, what is this sutta about? Then you look at the next line. The theme is about the benefits of stream winning. Okay, what is stream winning? We'll talk about this in a moment. Let me just read through this. So if you have an idea what the titles are, then we'll come back to it. Bhikshus, this is the English word for monks. Bhikkhu. In Chinese, how you pronounce it? Bhikkhu. There are these 5 benefits. I'm sorry, my eyesight is terrible now. There are these 6 benefits in realizing the fruit of stream winning. What are the 6? And then you see what I call what's this called? Block capitals. The 6 benefits of being a stream winner. That means this is a subtitle to help you more or less know what it's about. This is not in the original sutta, so it's put in a different kind of font, we say. The 6 benefits of being a stream winner. Number 1 is sure of the true teaching. All right, now that's the English translation. The Pali is given to you on the right hand side. Saddhamma niyato hoti. One does not fall away from true reality. Aparihanang dhammo hoti. There is a limit to one's suffering. Pariyanto kataso dukkhang katasa dukkhang no hoti. Okay? Na dukkhang na hoti. Right? One is endowed with uncommon knowledge. Asataranena jnanena samanagato hoti. One has clearly understood causes. No? Hetu chasa suddhito. One has clearly understood phenomena. Phenomena means things happening, arising from causes. Hetu samuppanna cha dhamma suddhito. Okay? Wow, at first it looks very deep. Well, we're talking about the mind. So, of course, these are very deep teachings. Okay, so you got this keyword today, stream winning. So you have the stream, this like a river, and water flows down into the ocean. So if you follow the stream, you will get lost into the ocean. Sometimes the Buddha's teaching is called against the current. Pati, Sota, Gami. Pati means against. Sota is current. Gami, going against the current. Why? Because if you study Buddhism, you find there are many things wrong with the world. And we don't want to be caught up. We don't want to be cheated by the world. I mean, we don't mind being with the world, you can't escape it, but we don't want to get lost in it. It's not that the world is bad, the world is what it is, that's the way it is. But we don't want to get lost in it. We don't want to get into trouble because of it. That's the meaning of against the current. It doesn't mean against the world, we're not against anyone. We just don't want to get into trouble. We don't want other people to get into trouble. We want everyone to be happy. All right? You got to go against the current. Now there is a saying, only dead fish goes with the flow. So we all don't want to be dead fish, right? We want to be strong, tough fish, going upwards. When I was young, as a young monk also, I love taking my students to Taman Negara, National Park in Malaysia. We got this beautiful big jungle. It takes like 4 hours now just to reach from the town in Pahang up to the jungle station. And you go by this long boat, It's not very far, but it takes 4 hours because we are going upstream against the current. Right? So it is really fun. Sitting in a boat, you chit-chat and so on. Right? So we go against the stream. So when you become a stream winner, sometimes translate stream entrance, stream entry. That means the verb is you go down into the boat. So the boat is the Dharma. You go into the boat, and then this boat will go upstream. Take you to Nirvana, so to speak. So stream winning, or Sotapanna, is the person who has reached the path, Eightfold Path. Okay? Now we all have not yet reached the Eightfold Path. We are still outsiders. This is the interesting thing, but not too bad. We're just outside the university, waiting to go in. We're admiring the gate, looking at all the advertisement and qualifications, So we're going to enter. So the commentaries talk about two kinds of people in the world. The most common are called the Andha Putujana. Andha means blind, dark. Putujana, worldling, people of the crowd. Putu means crowd. Jana means generation. People of the crowd. People of the crowd means what? These people, they like to follow the crowd, follow fashion, do things in big groups, don't think for yourself. So these are the blind worldlings. They just follow blindly, without thinking, and then they get into trouble. Say, how come I'm in trouble? So these people, very difficult to help. We try to help them by our example, by being peaceful. The best way a Buddhist can inspire others is by our smile, our peacefulness, our happiness, our calmness. The best compliment your friend can give you is he comes up to you and say, how come you are so peaceful? Now, that's a wonderful compliment to you. That means you have practiced well your loving kindness, your breath meditation. Then you say, you too can be happy like this. This is what the Buddha teaches, all right? So that's the joy. Remember I told you joy, the key word, no? So stream winner is the person taking the first step on the path going straight to Nirvana. Now, so you have the Antaputujana, the blind worldling who simply follow, they get lost. They're blind, what does it mean? Blind means ignorant. So when they're ignorant, they are led by craving. Right? So these are the twins, the terrible twins. Mr. Blind, Mr. Craving. So this blind, he's very clever, but he can't see. The craving is very stupid. Yeah? So, craving wants this, wants that, but the blind, he can't see it, so he doesn't know where to go. So, this blind person sits on the shoulder of Mr. Craving. All right? So, the blind person says, okay, go here, go there, and then Craving just follow. All right? So, they work together. So, that's what gets into trouble. Our ignorance and our craving. All right? So, this is the way of the world. We get caught up with craving and ignorance. Now, if you keep the precepts, as long as you try, remember, precept is not, it's very difficult to all the time keep it unbroken because you're living in the world, doing jobs and so on. So, the precepts get broken. It's quite natural. Then, what is the reason the precept is broken? You ask yourself. That's how you learn and strengthen yourself. Okay, it's just like every time you touch something, you get burned. After that, you don't want to touch it. So this thing is hot. The fire is hot. You don't touch it anymore. So it's what the precepts are about. The precepts teach us to avoid sensitive areas, weak areas, trouble areas. Okay, so we go on training ourselves, bit by bit. Maybe you take a whole lifetime. Doesn't matter. We take many lives even. As long as you try. Now, failure is a teacher, remember. Fail doesn't mean you're not a Buddhist. Every Buddhist failed. Even Gautama also failed. Remember, he tried 6 years, torture himself, couldn't get the answer, right? Failure is part of learning process. So, as long as you do not give up keeping the precepts, you are called Kalayana Putujana. Kalayana means beautiful, good. Okay? Notice the word for good and beautiful is the same word. Kalayana Putujana, the good worldling. That means you're okay. You're trying. Okay. So we are still outsiders, but we are very near the gate. We're standing at the gate, so to speak. Yeah? So how do we go through this gate and to go down to this boat on the stream to go upstream, become stream winners? There are 3 things that we should watch out. In other words, these are fetters that make us like prisoners. Fetters are like the ball and chain, right? Or in China, if the powers don't like you, then there is this big board, you put your head through it and then your hand like that. Those are fetters also. And so you can't move, right? You can't do much things and people start making fun of you. So stupid, isn't it? So we don't want that. We want to break the fetters. We want to be free. Number 1, do not have any self-identity views. Self-views, if you like, very simply selfishness. But it has a very deep meaning, Then you really have serious problem. The problem becomes yours. So what do we do then? How do you not own the pain? While you're meditating, you feel pain in your leg. If you say, "Oh, so painful, why did I come to meditate?" Then you are chatting already. Then you won't meditate. It's normal when you sit, you will feel pain. It's not because of your mind, it's because of the nature of the body, the 4 elements, right? So when you meditate, you don't own the pain by simply noting pain, pain, pain. That's all it is. It is pain. Pain belongs to the body, not the mind. This is called the teaching of the 2 arrows, or the 2 pains. A very beautiful teaching. The Buddha one day asked the monks, "Monks, these arahats, they feel the body feel pain, but the mind doesn't feel pain. So they are hit by only 1 arrow, whereas the worldly person are hit by 2 arrows. The body is painful and the mind also complain, think of negative things, blame people. Then you are unhappy body and mind also. But if you learn to say, okay, this is the nature of the body, right? So you leave your pain on the body level. You don't bring it to the mind. You have a choice. You don't have to think about all these unhappy things. Not necessary. So remember, don't own the pain. And there's one more connected saying. Natural. Suffering is optional. Remember, pain is natural, the nature of the body. Now we got bones and fluid and heat and air. So all these elements change about. So it's natural. But suffering is optional. Your mind can decide not to get upset. So, well, the nature of my body, right? Now, for example, I want to finish my translation, and the worst thing, I'm very hungry, but then I don't want to hear the meal bell, lunch bell. Because when you hear the bell, say, "Oh no, I got to stop working." And then after eating, you can't work. You are sleepy already. You're groggy because blood is going down to the stomach, You try working, you make a lot of mistakes. Now I try and I say, "Oh, let's try." You make mistakes, so it's not worth it. So you have to rest. So it's the nature of the body. Don't get upset. You got to live with this body. So sometimes I tell myself, wow, it's wonderful to be a deva. If you're a deva, you don't have to eat all this worldly food. You can sit forever, if you like, so to speak, forever in front of your computer and start working. You need computers also anyway, right? So there you are. Don't own the pain. Pain is natural. Suffering is optional. So remember all this, short forms. All right, so the first fetter to break, the first wrong idea to break is the idea of I. Let go of that. Let go of that. There's no I. Yeah? Our body also all the time changing. So very simple, right? It's the first thing you got to think about. Reflect on everything inside me changes. I'm made up of earth, water, fire, wind. Earth are the solid parts, the bones, flesh. They also change. I take rice, I take solid food, and then I swallow it, and then it changes into my bulk, my body. Then I drink water, and the water also becomes me. Now remember, what goes in must come out. So that's a cycle. It's a cycle. Water comes in, water goes out. You get plain, clear water, come out, colorful water. All right? And then the earth, water, the fire, okay? Heat, right? We also generate heat. Our body burns food and so on. In fact, this fire also means decay. From the time we are born, we are decaying. But we give very nice words for it, until teenage. Say, oh, childhood, teenage, very nice, Then after you pass 30, your friends don't want to look at you already, because you're old already, So we begin to decay. Actually, once you are born, you start decaying. It's just like the fruit, Once the fruit there, it starts ripening, right? What is ripened? What do? We eat it. So, fire is burning. This process of decay. Our body is decaying. It's the third element, fire. And the fourth element is wind. Wind is actually movement. Movement. Also air coming in, air going out. In other words, the 4 elements outside, the 4 elements inside us are the same 4 elements. They're all the time changing. What makes us different is we have consciousness. That's the different 5th element or 6th element. Yeah? The 5th element is space. There is space in our body also. All right. All these things are in the Sutta Discovery. You can look up. You go to the website at the bottom there, the address. You look under chapter 17, SD 17. All this are done in detail, research in detail. Yeah? Okay, so that's the first fetter to break, the idea of I. Not so difficult, this one. Then number 2, sometimes 2 and 3 they're mixed up, so we can take number 2 as doubt. Doubt. That means you're not sure of this, you're not sure of that. That's quite normal because you're new to Buddhism, so you've got to make an effort to study suttas, understand better. Don't simply let your doubt stay on. If you have a doubt, you ask. Okay, you define the question first. Very important to ask the questions correctly. When you know how to ask the questions correctly, you get the answer already. Right? In the questions lies the answer. It's a matter of reflecting on it. All right? Doubts means we can still learn. We still need to learn. We still need to find out. Okay? So, there are some people, I take like 3 months to produce one book, But actually, I take more than 3 months. I take 50 years, if you think about it. And you change it so many times. You look at the end of the sutta, and you find so many dates, sometimes like 12 dates. That means for 12 years, I've been revising it. And you put so much work into it. And you give somebody this book, and somebody said, "Oh, I don't want to read it. This is so difficult." Suddenly, you get a shock. You say, "Hey, what these people all don't like to read? What's happening?" I mean, if you don't read, you won't be wise. You won't be clever. You should not fear knowledge. If I were to give to, let's say, a Western Buddhist, you say, "Oh, thank you so much. How much do I pay for it?" And don't ask how much do I pay for it. Because they feel that whatever work you do, there is value. Okay, and you say it's free. They're even more happy. Right? Here you say free. They're so used to it. They want to see who wrote it. Oh, Piya Tan, just a full-time lay Dharma worker, But you get some tulku, some high-ranking sensei, or some big shot Buddhist. Yeah, okay, that's worth having. Notice I didn't say worth reading, The book is worth having. You take home, you put on your shelf, worship it. Say, "Oh wow, this one is famous doctor, wrote this book." I've never read it anyway, but there it is. So we worship books. Yes. You won't be wise when you worship books. Books are meant to be read. They transfer knowledge to you. So the reason why I go on doing this work is because I want to know the Dhamma. I'm doing all this for myself actually. But at the same time I say, why not share with others? Right? So that I can overcome doubt. Right? So doubt means there is still space for you to know things. So never give up learning. What makes a person great is his willingness and drive to learn. And if more people are like that, the country, the community, the country becomes great also. You know why Western civilization is kind of topping the world, why they are the dominant culture? It's because they really want to learn. They went through a lot of suffering just to learn. They liberated suffering from the church, from the superstitious people, and now you got free learning. Learning is what frees us from fear, and ignorance, and pain, disease, and of course in Buddhism even from death itself when you attain nirvana. So remember, doubt is a fetter we must break. And then the third fetter is attachment to rituals and vows. Why did the Buddha mention this attachment to rituals and vows? It's because we think that by doing something repeatedly, we will get it. I think Einstein was the one who said, if you do something stupid repeatedly and think that it is clever, something's wrong with you, right? So just because you keep it repeatedly doesn't mean it will work, right? So you have to, in other words, ask yourself, why am I doing this? Why do I repeat this thing? It doesn't work. There is another very important meaning to rituals. It means you think that the problem inside you, the answer can be found outside. Sometimes people have problems, they go to see all these mediums and monks and so on, instead of really doing the proper way of healing themselves. So when they do that, they get into more trouble, because all these people, they know, say, oh, this is a good victim. We can exploit this person, right? So that's the danger, When you ritualize things, that means you think that by doing something repeatedly, you can get what you want. Number two, you think that by looking answers outside, you solve problem. But the problem is inside you. We're talking about where we think, our fears, is inside us. So through meditation, through studying sutras, you deal with the problem inside yourself. So this is the meaning of the third fetter. The truth is in here, not out there. So don't look for the answer out there. Look for it inside here, in your heart, in your mind. Okay? So in simple terms, to be a stream winner, number one, don't be selfish. Let go of the idea of self, unchanging self. Number two, don't be ignorant. Number three, don't be superstitious. Don't be superstitious. These are the three fetters you must break. So if you can break these three fetters, that means you will become a stream winner in this life. In the very short sutta, very famous sutta, called the Anicca Chakku Sutta, the Eye Sutta. The Buddha says, if you constantly reflect on impermanence, everything is impermanent. Remember, the breath coming in, going out is impermanent. You can use that to reflect. Everything is impermanent. The answer lies there. There was one famous Burmese teacher, One day he told his student, he says, the whole of Buddhism is here. He pointed to the nose. It's not the nose, it's your breath. Okay? Now you are wise. When the teacher points to the nose, you know it's not the finger, it's not the nose, it's the breath. My cat won't understand that. So you have the ability to understand. If you don't use that, then you are no better than the cat. You'll be exploited. You'll be put in great danger, right? So the teacher said, it's all in the breath. Why? For example, you reflect on impermanence of the breath. You do that regularly. What happens if you reflect impermanence? Everything is impermanent. Wherever you go, impermanence is there. It is a lesson in impermanence. You think that, oh, this job is taking so long, but it still will end. And you enjoy something very nice. You find, oh, I end faster. So everything changes. Even when you're sick, the sickness will end. You're healthy, the health also will change. Impermanence, change, becoming other. Reflect in this way, then you will not be disappointed. You will not be troubled when you experience change. You'll be happy. Now, if you are like that, naturally happy, then you can imagine, the Buddha says you will be a stream winner in this life, if not definitely at the moment of passing away. We have no control when we're passing away. All our old habits will come. They will come back like a dream. You can't control, So if you regularly do bad things, this habit will come back. You get pictures of it. And it will affect your rebirth. But if you have been constantly reflecting on impermanence, then you feel peaceful. You feel you have wisdom. Then you'll be reborn as a stream winner next life. So the Buddha says you will definitely get stream winning in this life, if not at the point of passing away, by reflecting on impermanence. Okay, now we come to this sutta. Okay, we'll take a break first, all right? Then we'll come back and finish this sutta. Let's finish off with our sutta. Now, I give you a very long introduction just now. All those things I said are related to this. Okay, so now these are for stream winners, you see, but still if you look at it, you find you also can benefit it, although you're not yet stream winners. It is something to guide you, to help you. Okay, page 57, 57. Okay, so first benefit, one is sure of the true teaching. Nowadays, you have a lot of Buddhism, So, it's like a big market. Like, get the true thing, the real thing. Don't get the prefixed Buddhism. Prefix got two meanings, Prefix, that means it's got something in front. Like Chinese Buddhism, Tibetan Buddhism, Thai Buddhism, Sinhalese Buddhism. That means to put the culture first. We just want Buddhism. That means that's the teaching that the Buddha gave us, not from any other country. I mean, it's not that all these things, other countries are bad. I mean, it's fine. They can still practice it the way they want it. But if you really want to practice, no, you're not a Tibetan. Why do you want to be a Tibetan Buddhist? So you'll be reborn as a Tibetan next life, maybe. So what's the big deal, right? You want to know Buddhism to be free, right? And the worst thing is Japanese Buddhism. It's really messy, because there's no Sangha there. It is illegal to be a monk, illegal, During the Meiji period, they made a law. Monks must get married and cannot wear their robes outside ceremonies. So because the monks are too, troubling the politicians, so they decided to take away the power of the Buddhists. And that was really disastrous. So there's no Buddhism there. Of course, there are people who practice it, but they know. They know that there's a big difficulty there, okay? So all these are, lost kind of Buddhism. So be very careful what kind of Buddhism you listen to. The Buddhism of the Buddha, not any other kind. Otherwise, you will get lost. Okay? The safest Buddhism is the teaching of the historical Buddha. That's called the true teaching. Other teachings will tell you, Japanese Buddha, this you go to heaven, all the wrong teachings. So we don't want that. All right. So the true teaching is about impermanence, understanding impermanence, self-reliance. These two things. So if we're not sure how to decide true Buddhism, number one, they talk about impermanence. Number two, self-reliance. You can help yourself. Number two, one does not fall away from true reality. So if you reflect on impermanence, no one can prove that it is false. If you say, I believe in a creator God, someone can ask you, show me, where is he? What kind of being is this God? They're very difficult, right? But impermanence, you can't prove it wrong. That is why the Buddha said you can accept impermanence through faith. Just believe it. Or through wisdom, investigate it. Either way, you are safe. So you will not fall away from this truth if you open up your mind to impermanence. Number three, there is a limit to your suffering. Right? Some people, they talk about suffering because they have the wrong ideas, wrong views. Right? And the worst thing is, for example, in the Philippines, the 100 million people there, and most of them are poor. And they all believe in God. And they say, it's God's blessing, So they keep on saying that, but they're not helped. They don't put in the effort to change. So I have friends on Facebook, so I always tell them, one thing, they're very nice people. You can tell them anything. They'll just laugh. They don't take things too hard seriously. Sometimes I wish they're a bit more serious though. So I tell them, I said, God help those who help themselves. So I meet them halfway. In Buddhism, I won't talk to you like that, you see, but because they believe in God idea, so I say, God helps those who help themselves. And they say, yeah, very true, So they're willing to listen, I feel that if some of you know the Dharma and you want to spend your life meaningfully, the rest of your life, you can go and spread Dharma in Philippines, I thought you'd be very happy there. Very different place from Singapore. And then the peso is very weak, so Singapore money is very big. And people there, I think, are ready. Duterte is a wonderful president, He really speaks out against the church. Very brave man. So we're talking about telling people the truth, right? The true teaching. that they can rely on themselves. Don't rely on anything outside of yourself. Then you won't get into trouble. Then your suffering will be lessened. Okay? So sometimes, again, someone got well, they say, oh, thank God, I said, please remember, thank your doctor, thank the nurses, thank all those people who have been nice to you. God has nothing to do with it. Right? They forget the people who really helped them. and all those discovery through science and so on. So there's a limit to your suffering because you understand the nature of suffering. You understand impermanence. What is impermanent is suffering, unsatisfactory, right? And what is impermanent and unsatisfactory has no self, no essence. It's changing all the time. You cannot point out and find fault. It's the way things are. Number 4, one is endowed with, what's the word? Uncommon knowledge. Okay? So if you listen carefully and then maybe make notes, and then remember it a bit, then you find that your friend will say, wow, you know so much, where do you learn all these things from? And these are very simple things, right? For example, you just need to tell your friend self-reliance, you can help yourself, simple thing like that. Everything is impermanent. Those mantras you have learned today, what are they? Don't own the pain, right? Pain is natural, suffering is optional, things like that, right? So that limits your suffering, okay? And your knowledge becomes special, uncommon. Number 5, one has clearly understood causes, okay? Here, conditions, whatever happens, always cause effect, many of them working together. Okay? This is the basic idea behind the 12 links, dependent arising. Okay? You see here a cup, okay, or better still, say watch. Long ago, during the Raffles time, the church is very powerful because the church is the one saying you go and conquer other countries for God. So they take a lot of trouble to try to prove that God exists. So there was this bishop. They got many kinds of proof. So one of that is called the proof by design. So the bishop says, you walk in the desert and you discover a watch. He says, this watch is very complex, It can't just appear in the desert. Somebody must have made it. Conclusion, there is a God. Now if you study first year philosophy, you say, wrong reasoning, very bad reasoning. Right? Because we know today, for example, number 1, no one person makes the watch.
You do need philosophy.
Right? So, first the case is made by a few people somewhere, maybe in Japan, and then the machine is made in Switzerland, and it's assembled elsewhere. So a lot of people came together to make the watch, I have a student who's doing that, He buy all these parts from Switzerland, and then he advertises, okay, you tell me what kind of design you like, we assemble for you, So that's what it is. Everything is made up of parts, not by one person, right? So it's bad logic, all right?
What's subcontractor?
Yes. All right, so conditionality. And this is a very good philosophy, because when something goes wrong in your office, don't blame anyone. It's very convenient to blame someone. But you blame somebody, the problem is still there, right? So because this problem, they got many causes and effects. So you got to find out what are the flow chart, the connection, how did this happen? Okay? So that's the meaning here. Our suffering also like that. We are conditioned. Because of the conditions, the suffering come to us. So you understand the condition, you understand the problem. Okay? That's the meaning here. And then the last one has clearly understood phenomena arising from the causes, right? So once you understand the causes, you begin to understand the effects of the causes. Why people behave in this way, for example, because of the culture, the conditions, the politics of the country, whatever. There are many, many conditions. So you have to slowly change those things. But the best place to change is in your mind. If you can change the way you think, you have started to solve the problems. And if you make an effort to teach others, then the solution will spread and you help more people. That is why I take a lot of trouble to do the translation work, because I preserve it like this. I know for people like you are interested in learning, and the future also would benefit. Right? So that's the effect. What we do now will affect the future. So we must try our best right now to put in the effort. All right. So stream winning is a wonderful idea. Yeah? And it's even wonderful to be able to attain it, because you free yourself from suffering. You get this extraordinary knowledge of things. You understand things better. You don't get cheated by the world anymore. Okay, so that's the teaching from me for today. Any questions? Clear enough? Anything you're not sure? Now, questions means any part you're not sure, you ask. Yes?
Will you explain a bit more on the rituals and vows?
Oh, yes, very good. Yeah, that's. Thank you for reminding me. Of course, not all rituals are bad. All right. For example, we recite Namo Tassa is also a ritual, you see. But when the ritual is done meaningfully, for example, when you recite Namo Tassa, you think of the Buddha, this person who's very peaceful under the Bodhi tree, and then even when you are bowing down at the shrine, you bow down first time, you say, I bow with my body, second time, I bow with my speech, third time with my mind. So you remember, these are the three doors of karma. This is how our karma acts, right? So in other words, you see the meaning behind the rituals, then it is meaningful. Now what's wrong is attachment to rituals. For example, let's say, when you go to a temple to pray, you always use 12 joss sticks, And then one day you say, 11 joss sticks, You can't sleep, You start worrying. Say, I put 11 joss sticks, Buddha is going to send me to hell or something. Now that's totally wrong view. Now, that's bad rituals. It's stupid also, right? So rituals mean you keep repeating, and then you keep repeating this action, thinking that it will work. I mean, you're going around in circles, okay? So that doesn't work. You got to break the circle. So some rituals can be helpful. Like we all get up in the morning, we do simple deep breathing, or get up, we send metta out, or we do some simple yogas to be fresh. There is bed yoga, right? You can just stretch yourself a bit, and then you feel so fresh. You want to get up. So this, and then before going to sleep, you brush your teeth, things like that. So these are simple rituals which help you to do something good. That's fine. Even before meditation, you may have some rituals, right? For example, you bow down to the Buddha statue and then you sit down quietly. So those are good rituals. What we don't want is attachment to rituals. Maybe one day you say, okay, today I feel so peaceful. I want to go straight into meditation. So you didn't do the bowing down. The Buddha is not going to mind. Okay, you just do it. So Buddhists are not ritual crazy. All right. Sometimes rituals can trick us. We hear the sound, say, wow, so nice, you feel so peaceful. It's just sound. It's just sound. And we see a nice big building and say, wow, these people must have good karma. I want to join them. It's not your karma. It's just a building, right? Even the huge big statues in Persia, in Egypt, the pyramids, look at them now, all rotten already, all lost, lonely, desolate by itself. Empires rise, empires fall, right? So you can build all this, use all these wonderful rituals, and use even things as to give ritualistic value, but they're all impermanent. Things will change. So don't get caught up with the cycle of things. Look inside you. What do I need? How can I become a better person? How can I be peaceful? How can I be wise? That's the way, okay? So, ritual should be helpful, meaningful, right? Not doing it blindly, in other words, okay? And of course, it's got to be something true, you know, right? If you go and pray to someone that doesn't exist, it's no different from madness, you know, right? It's not going to be helpful. So these are the Buddha is telling us of the psychological value of understanding nature of rituals also. Okay? Anything else? So that's all, eh? Okay, so we will end here for today. I like this part very much. I finished my duty, eh? Then I can go back to my work. Right, transition work, okay? Don't forget the nice food, of course. Okay, so let us now close. This is a time when we send our thoughts to all those important people important to us. Today we have spent some time to study about what matters most to us, that is, to reach the path, to become stream winners, to understand ourselves, to be strong, to be happy, to be noble. Reflecting in this way is very good karma. By the power of such good karma, by the power of the three jewels, may we be well and happy. May we be blessed with good health, wisdom, and the courage to aspire to at least stream winning in this life itself. By the power of the three jewels too, may our loved ones be well and happy. May they too see the true teaching, the true Dharma in this life itself. And may those who are lost or teaching the wrong things too return to the true path of the Buddha's teaching in this life itself. May all beings be well and happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.